And live. Welcome to a Computer Science Week event from Vermont, and as part of our code in Computer Science Week. And we are live here at North Country Union High School, and we are going to be talking to some students and teachers from the North Country Career Center, actually, and with a career professional, Jen Kramer. Let me start by having both of them introduce each other. Hi, North Country.
Hi.
Tell us who's there.
Well, John Wagner's here.
Oh, do you want us to go around?
Go ahead, sir.
Okay. I'm not starting.
Okay.
I'm
Lenny. Hi. I'm Demara.
Hello, I'm Devin.
Katrina.
Natasha.
I'm Bradley, but I'm all the way in the corner and you can't see me, and that's fine by me.
So it sounds like we have a combination of young women here, some of them from Mr. Wagner's program at the North Country Career Center. Mr. Wagner, can you just briefly tell us the name of your program and what it is?
It is computer programming and game design.
How many students?
In the first year program, we have 10, and in the second year, we have 4, so 14 total.
Only 4? Yeah, half the class is here, guys.
Yeah.
3/4 actually.
Yeah, actually,
3/4.
Tyler is here as well, but
My
he's
sibling.
preoccupied with coding.
Yeah, my nerdy sibling.
And we also have some young women here from the Career Center at North Country who are participating that have been part of the Tech Savvy Girls program for several years. I think Natasha and Jen, are you both there?
Yeah. I went to a Tech Savvy thing once. I sucked at it.
You're behind me.
They are here.
We're here.
Crouch down.
How long have you been in Tech Savvy Girls, ladies?
They can still see my hand.
Yeah.
Nope,
I have been in Tech Savvy for 6 or 7 years.
I was probably in it for 4 years, counting camper and counselor years.
And now you're both junior leaders. That's awesome. And you're both involved in a Career Center course also this semester. Is that correct?
Yes. Next semester, but yeah.
Which one?
I'm a first year in mechatronics.
And Natasha, you're going to be in?
I'll be in engineering with mechatronics next semester.
Fantastic. Let's meet Miss Wagner. I see Peter also joined us. Hi, Peter.
Hello there. Sorry, I was late coming back. I got interrupted here for a sec, but okay, I'm good.
We're just doing introductions here. And Miss Wagner is here. Jen, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Jen Kramer, and I am a lecturer at Harvard University Extension School. I teach in the digital media design program, where you can take lots of courses on website design and development, on film, and instructional design.
Fantastic. And you and I met at Marlboro years back, and John, Mr. Wagner, is actually doing his capstone at Marlboro right now.
Oh, excellent.
Lucy is my advisor.
Ah, very good. Very good.
So let's get started. Jen, one of the topics we want to talk about, and one of the reasons we invited you here, is because we want to talk about diversity in tech courses and tech career. What do you think the landscape looks for you as far as what you see in tech careers? Is there a lot of gender diversity?
I wouldn't say a lot. Unfortunately, we're probably about 3/4 men and about 1/4 women, if we want to just look at that pretty basically. And overwhelmingly, you'll find that it's a lot of white men who are involved in programming. It doesn't have to be this way. There's nothing that says that this is the domain of white men. As many of you probably know, if you watched old movies like Hidden Figures and so forth, programming actually started with women.
Tell me more.
I'm sorry?
Tell us a little bit more.
Okay. I actually started programming when I was about 6. Believe it or not, my grandmother taught me to program. If she was alive, she'd be 96 now. And so this is a, she worked in satellites and configuring TV satellites for TV programming back in the early 1970s. And she would work with us on a computer that my grandfather actually built. In those days, you couldn't go to the store and just go buy one. My grandfather built a computer from a company called Heathkit. And the disk drives were about this big, great big, huge dinner plate sized disk drives you would put into this computer. The screen was about this big. It was all one color. And we could write little programs like tell it to write my name on the screen over and over again. So that was a pretty valuable experience. It was a lot of fun. For a kid in the 1970s, that was pretty amazing. And so that's how I got started going on down my path in computer programming.
Can I ask a question related to what you said?
Sure.
So you must see other young women or women in the field, and they obviously probably don't have the experience you had in growing up. And so where do they get their entry points as they come along and think about it and then move into the field?
I think people have different areas of curiosity. They want to try something out. They want to build something. They want to make it something interactive, and they come to class and they start to learn. I think one of the best ways to keep women in programming is to have women as mentors and figures in the field.
Yeah.
The very best way is to have women teaching this in the classroom. I find that when I teach my classes that we actually do typically have gender balance. And a lot of them, when you have a man who's teaching, that tends to be less true, just sort of broadly speaking.
Right, right. It's interesting because we have a phenomenon, and maybe some of the young ladies that we're talking to here in Mr. Wagner's class may attest to this. We have a situation going on. We have a Vermont Virtual is our online course provider for the state, for schools, and we find that computer science courses in that realm are 70% female are taking those courses online as opposed to in person. So I don't know, that's a very interesting thing. I don't know if any of the young girls in Mr. Wagner's class are taking something with Vermont Virtual. Is any of you taking courses with them, computer science or anything?
You're going to have to unmute.
Yeah, you guys are muted, yeah.
You, John.
It's all right.
There you go.
There we go. Yeah.
Is that unmuted though?
Yes.
Yeah, it's unmuted. Yep, I can hear you.
No.
No. Have you guys heard of it? Do you know of the opportunity you have to do courses on that?
No.
No, I never heard of it.
All right. Well, we'll talk to Mr. Wagner after about this, but maybe Mr. Wagner knows about it. But anyways, you can do. There's a number of computer science courses that are available through Vermont Virtual, so that you can take online. And we find that some young ladies take them through, take a course, physical course, where you have a teacher in the classroom, and also are taking something online as well to kind of get that training. So, I'm sorry I was a little bit late, but could you just tell me really quickly what grade level you all are in the room?
Pretty much freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors.
Okay, everybody. Okay. All right. All right. Okay, that's great.
There's like 4 seniors.
No, I'm not a senior.
No, Tyler's a senior.
3
Oh, you're a
seniors,
junior.
3 seniors, 4 sophomores, and 1 freshman. Yeah.
Yeah. And are you all interested in moving beyond coding and programming in high school and want to take it into your college career or post high school?
Yeah.
Yes. That's great.
I am just trying to get Lake Region online. They're trying to get online and join us also. First of all, John, your numbers for a male instructor in a career center programming related to computer program are higher than we see around. So I'm wondering if John might just share briefly, or maybe the young women, what are some things that advice you would give to tech instructors, male or female, who are trying to get more young women. What attracted you to the classroom? What makes it comfortable for you?
We laugh.
A lot of my friends are in this classroom, including my own brother, and it's something I enjoy, and it's something we all enjoy, so it makes me more comfortable.
I've just always been interested in coding after playing video games while I was younger, so I thought this would be a nice class to be in.
Yeah.
If we're gonna be technical, I never really thought about joining this class, so I wanted to get out of course, and this is the only available class.
Well, I didn't know much who I was going to be, but this might be one of my opportunities. I'm still trying to decide, but I was always wondering how people always make games or just designing stuff in general with code. So I'm trying to widen my mindset. I can't speak today. Yeah. Yeah, that too.
Go for it.
Really?
I forgot the question. Yeah. I forgot what the question was.
Why you doing this
Why
class?
did you take the class?
Oh. I already told you that. I didn't want to take course anymore. And then I kind of got
because all
hooked.
my friends were in here, and it was something I wanted to learn. Say it, and yeah, besides friends. Plus, it's fun.
I came back to the class after year one because I really loved what we were doing. It was really fun.
Yeah, I'm in year one, so I can't say the same.
Do some of you have adults in your life, either parents or aunts and uncles or brothers and sisters, who are in careers that work with programming and coding already? Do you have some?
My great
sibling.
cousins.
The little nerd of a sibling behind us over here.
Yeah.
He's taking the year 2 class, so that kind of motivated me as well.
That's great. That's great. It looks like Lake Region has joined us. Hello, Ms. Gilham.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Who do we have with you?
Charlize.
Hello, Charlize. My name is Peter Drescher. I'm from the Agency of Education. I'll let other people chime in and introduce themselves.
I'm John Wagner from the North Country Career Center, and
Let's just go.
Go around again.
I'm Lily.
I'm Devin.
I'm Demara.
Katrina.
Natasha.
Riley. I don't think you can see me. You can see my hand.
Yeah, you can see about half of us.
Yeah, half us.
And there's also my sibling Tyler behind the screen.
Come on, Tyler, get over here. Tyler's just
You want me to reveal myself?
I live. I live.
Tyler, take it.
Hello, Tyler.
Hi.
That way I don't have to be in range.
So we have some other guests here too. Lucy, why don't you go ahead and talk about yourself there?
So I know both Betsy and Charlize because I've got the opportunity to meet Charlize at Tech Savvy Girls Camp and know her as a leader and a young woman who's very good at technology. And Betsy is my colleague in crime in Tech Savvy Girls. We've been doing Tech Savvy Girls, leading it in North Country for 18 years now. And I think is that right, Betsy?
It was 01 I joined you, but I think you had a capstone in 2000, if I remember.
So we had the amazing opportunity, to have to close registration this year because we had 60 girls, and we're so appreciative of North Country Career Center giving us some space and also adopting Tech Savvy Girls and sponsoring it. So that gave 60 young women the opportunity to play with tech and code this summer.
Yeah, it was actually, there was a waiting list of 4 more, so we ended up with 64 girls because I can't say no.
Wow, that's great. That's tremendous. Yeah, that's great.
And we had 6 junior leaders and 6 educators too that worked together on that project.
I want one for fifth grade.
That's great. Did any of you from North Country join that class? No? Do you know about it?
The camp, the Tech Savvy Girls Camp.
Me and McKenna both have.
Yeah, we were.
McKenna. Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Natasha's there too.
That's a good connection. That's great.
I need to do this.
We have one other guest here I want to make sure you're aware of. Jen Wagner, why don't you give us a shout out and let us know where you're from and all that.
I'm Jen Kramer. I'm in Watertown, Massachusetts, just outside of Boston. And I'm a lecturer at Harvard University Extension School teaching website design and development in the digital media program.
So Jen, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
The types of careers that a student can go into if they know a little bit of code are not just computer programming.
Nope.
Can you share some of the ways that code can help your future careers?
Oh my goodness, there's so many. There's so much going on out there these days. Pretty much everything that you do in school can somehow relate to a career in code. Obviously, you can be a programmer, so you would write code. That's what you do. And you could do that in a variety of contexts. You could do that as a mobile application developer, making things for phones. You could be a website developer, making things for websites. You could be a graphic designer. So we definitely need some help in the graphic design realm, picking colors, making art that will wind up going on websites, figuring out how websites are laid out. There's user experience professionals. User experience professionals are designed to, their goal is to mediate the conversation between people on the business side of things and people who are on the code side. So they gather requirements, translate those, and give them to the coders who can and then put something together in code. There are people who write content for a living. They just standard, writing kind of stuff, but you have to write in such a way that the writing can be easily scanned and digested very quickly. So writers are definitely in high demand on the web as well. And that's just a few things that come to mind immediately. There are a lot of jobs out there for people in code.
What languages do you know, and which ones would you suggest people start with if they're learning to code?
Well, I do HTML and CSS. That's it. and that is what I would recommend that people start, is with HTML, followed by CSS, which is cascading style sheets. That's making websites pretty. My experience is, again, on the user experience side of things, so translating ideas and requirements into actual applications, and then putting together basic prototypes using HTML and CSS. So then I coordinate with people who do more complicated programming, or JavaScript, or PHP, or Ruby on Rails, or Python, or databases, all kinds of databases. They take care of the programming side of things. So I still need to have a very technical conversation with them. Although I don't write the code myself.
Ladies and John, what languages are you learning in your program?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
What languages are you learning or teaching in your program?
In the first year, we start off with JavaScript and, of course, HTML and CSS, Python. And then in the second year, they do Java. AP Computer Science is embedded in the program. And they do PHP, SQL, and I'm probably forgetting one or two in there.
We do Python too?
Your one
Yes.
is Lua, or is that the intro?
Well, we did Lua with briefly.
Which ones do you like the best, ladies?
Java.
Yeah, Java. Java.
Yeah, definitely.
Is it Java?
I heard a lot of Java. I'd be really interested if somebody would like to speak to that and tell us why you like Java the best.
It's the first thing we learned, and it's the easiest for us to understand when we first look at it.
Yeah, you did.
Great. Any other questions for Jen or anybody else?
I'd be curious, Jen. What do you see are what do you see are barriers to women getting into the fields?
Well, I have a lot of rants about this. It's not just women. I think we do a very bad job of teaching computer science in general. We tend to lecture people about data structures and sort of how programming is put together. We don't do enough practice with code, particularly at the college level. I don't have as much experience at K-12, but we do a very bad job of practicing that code and getting people comfortable with algorithmic thinking. And I think that particularly for women, we tend to say, well, I am not good at this because I can't latch on to programming immediately. If I don't quote, get it immediately, we tend to think of ourselves as not talented in that particular regard. And we compare ourselves often to frequently the men who are in the classroom who may have started programming when they were, whatever, 6 or 7 years old and are very, very familiar with programming already as they come into school, as opposed to people who just literally learned it an hour ago. And so I think we need to get better about not comparing ourselves to everybody else and working on our own skills and powering our own learning from within is something else that we could do a better job doing.
Yeah.
I heard a quote recently that the only person you should compare yourself is to yourself yesterday. And I really love that recently.
Very, very true.
Any other questions or comments?
If I don't know, and this could be for anyone, since some of you have done Tech Savvy Girls, and Lucy sure could answer this question as well. Thinking about these young women who are sitting in the 2 classrooms we're visiting with, what are some steps that they could take if they're interested in being serious about a career or a college path in coding and programming? What are some steps they could take either this semester, well, next semester, let's say, to start, fostering that for themselves so that they could find a path when it comes to, getting that started? What are some practical steps, some practical courses to take, or some ways to think? Anybody?
For a certain course or any course? Like for coding? What are you talking about?
Just, maybe Jen, like, if you could give some words of advice to these young women about, what they should be thinking about and just to start their career in moving down this path, what courses should they be, picking in the next couple of years?
Oh my goodness. Well, there are lots and lots of ways that you can go, but I would encourage you to think about what do you actually enjoy doing? Is it actually sitting there and writing the code? Because people who do that as a career often sit in front of their computers for long stretches of time, and they may talk to a whole lot of people. Are you a very social kind of person? Do you need to be in a work environment where you're always talking to people and you're getting ideas? You get really energized by talking to other people about ideas about things that could be implemented. If that is the case, you may do better at a different point in the programming process. A lot of people work in project management, where they're working with whole teams of people, facilitating communication across those teams. And
You guys getting our announcements?
yes,
All right.
it's okay. I remember high school.
Maybe could you mute during when that comes up? That'd be great, and we could continue talking maybe.
All right, I think they're done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Things I heard Jen say was about the social part. And I think that for me, the advice I give to a lot of young women is find a partner and go do it together. And that's not just in coding. I mean, it's going to the gym. It's all kinds of things as young women and maybe just humans in general, is find a partner and go do it together so you can interact socially throughout the process. I'd be interested in hearing from Charlize or from the young women at North Country. Do you feel, do you tend to hang out with each other in the class? Does it help to have another female or another partner that you work socially through the code with?
Yeah, I always like ask the people around me or Damara or my own brother for help whenever I have the year 1 and year 2 classes together. So that helps a lot having another person for like constructive criticism or just for help in general.
But pretty much in general, just having another person there will just make it feel better, and it doesn't make you feel like you're alone when you're doing code and you're stuck. You need some opinion. Like Lee said.
Charlize, do you want to add to this conversation, Charlize?
Yes.
You chatting there?
Yeah, sure. I was the only girl in my class when I was at the career center, and so there were 3 other guys, and I actually had a lot of fun working with them. There was a girl at the very beginning in the class, but she dropped the class. I tend to be more independent, but I don't know. It was something different, I guess, and I really enjoyed it. So.
And it was mechatronics, right?
Yeah, it was mechatronics.
Yeah, that's great. I actually toured that classroom a couple of years ago. That's really a great classroom, yeah.
How about Mr. Kelly's stuff?
Mr. Kelly's stuff?
What's the ratio? Any females working in there? Have you always been independent with guys?
In Mr. Kelly's class, so with coding, I was also the only female. Now there are more girls in the class, but I'm not in the class anymore. But again, it was just fun, and he pushed me more, so I don't know. I kind of just, yeah, always been the only one, so I enjoy it though.
That's good.
I find it harder working with other people because the person I talk to most like help me out. We kind of distract each other, and we're just like sitting up front laughing about everything.
That happens every now and then. I mean,
it's like every class. Ask Mr. Wagner. Me and McKenna are pretty bad at talking to each other.
It's nice to have people around you because you can use them as a reference for your own work.
Or just take off and like think of something else wrong.
That's what reference is.
I meant something else. Oh my God. No, I was talking about like if you're stuck on something that's really hard, you just like have a break or just like maybe talking to that person will let you think better or something. Oh my God.
Them together. Mr. Bass was great.
And also, if you're stressed, having a partner you can always just have a good laugh together. If you're stressed about something, then get back to work. So,
sometimes mental breaks are very nice.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a mental break before you have a mental breakdown.
Yeah, there you go.
So we're about to come up on the end of our school day, and I don't know if you guys have to leave now. Or?
I have to.
Okay.
Yeah. I have.
I think we're about to wrap it up here too. So we really appreciate everybody just sharing with us some of the realities of being in a tech career or a tech course. Thank you, everybody, and thanks for being here.
Bye.
Yeah. Thanks everyone.
Bye.
You guys, good luck, everyone.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you, Jen.
Thanks, Betsy.
Bye, Chris.